Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to the J Talk, today's relationships talk show. All right, Miss Debbie.
Hey Jay,
All right.
how you doing? Good to
All
be
right.
back with you on this week with another hot topic. And this is, I think, by far, this is one of the most important topics that we've talked about. One of them we've talked about. Yes, one of
the
most important
topics
Yes.
that we've talked about.
Yes, because we need to know, truly, honestly, if we really have the kind of love we say we have.
The kind of love we say we have.
Yes.
All right, well, since we want to know the kind of love we say we have, then I guess we need to tell people what this topic is all about. All right? Before they fall out of love with
That's
J
right.
Talks.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
All right. Today's topic is titled Do we really love someone unconditionally? Do we really love someone unconditionally? Oh boy.
So before we start answering that question, Jay, and bringing out points and everything, can you just tell us what is, because for some people that, might have, well, what is unconditional love? You might be saying, what is? I know, I might have idea what love is, but what is unconditional love?
Okay.
Period. That means that nothing else after that, just period. Unconditional love.
You want to do your breakdown? Or you want to go first, or you want me to go first? All right. Well, I'll go first then. All right. This is all right. You're gonna put the host on. Okay. All right. That's all right. Okay. All right. Since I try to be ladies
I know.
first.
I appreciate that, Jay.
Humble,
You know I
down.
do.
All right. Well, since I'm going first, all right, folks, sit back, relax. All right. Now, unconditional. I said, the topic was called "Do we really love somebody?"
Right.
Unconditional. All right. Do we really love somebody?
Love? Yes.
Unconditional. All right. Now that can be taken two ways. That can be taken as unconditional love, or the actions of love, or how we give out love. Okay. All right. They're pretty much both the same.
Yes.
Little tiny difference. I'm since I'm a dictionary person.
Yes.
I like to be as authentic as possible. I try to be. So we know it's not one word. It's two words: unconditional and love put together as unconditional love. It's just like we say in two words, any two group words. You have the noun and then the adjective. Okay. All right, that describes the noun. Bad taste, or running fast, or fast runner. So there are two different words, and the first one gives a clarity of what the second word.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
It is, or how it's applied. So when we say unconditional love, then we have to look at unconditional to see what love is all about. So unconditional in the dictionary. Okay, let me run down a couple of unconditional dictionary definitions. And this is all fact, not what I feel like it is, what it ought to be. This is fact. Okay. Unconditional is first thing it says, it is without conditions or limitations.
Without conditions
or limitations.
Okay.
Not limited by conditions. I mean, you're going to see that throughout because the un in front of conditions makes it void, makes conditions void. Now, you're not restricted, you're not, conform to anything. There's nothing you have to meet. I mean, so the thing that was asked, do we love? So that means the person, like myself, I'm going to ask myself the question, can Jay give someone unconditional love? That's the love I'm giving to a person, not not what they're giving back to me.
Right. Good point.
So, do we love someone unconditionally? Okay. And a lot of times, what we hear that statement. Now I'm gonna read what condition means. If we gonna define what unconditional, let's read what condition means. It says something. It says it is subject to one or more conditions or requirements to be met. Okay, it has to be met. Okay. It is. It's also. Let's see. Imposing, depending on, or containing a condition. Okay. So conditions can be laws, can be rules, can be regulations, can be expectancies. So, it could be. It's something has to be met. All right. Before you actually receive that whatever. I guess it's like the prize. Okay. Right. If you can unconditionally get into a race. Just sign up for the race, but you have to conditionally be the first one across the line to win the race. Right. All right. You're not a winner just because you get in the race. So you can unconditionally, without any requirements, you could be a snail and go sign up. Yeah. All right. And get into the race, but that don't mean just because you get into the race that you unconditionally can run it the way you want to and have an expectancy to win the race. Okay. Because there is a condition. You got to first get across that line, first or second or third at least. Right. Yes. I don't think they have no consolation prizes for the last runner.
No, Jay, they don't.
Yeah.
So no. So our topic is so important this evening, Jay, because the question is asked: do we love unconditionally? And I think for the most part, if you ask the average person, they would say, well, I like to think I love unconditionally until something happens. So when you talk about conditions, so now let's talk about the word condition for a minute. Okay. I'm gonna let you have this thing that I got. But I'm only gonna give it to you on a condition that you give me something for it. Okay. So now that's a condition. So now when you talk about love, when you give your love or what you consider as being love, and you're not getting something that you think in return is, something that you want in return, do you really love them? Do you really love unconditional? Because if you love them unconditionally, whether, like you said, the definition, whether you received that thing back or not, you still love them. So that goes to the point of that when we're talking about relationships, man and a woman in a relationship, and he's loving and she's loving, and everything is good. Now until that person does something that you might deem out of their character or something that you don't agree with, do you still love them? Can you still love them unconditionally? If you say you love them unconditionally.
Say, can you?
Can you?
Can you?
Because, and the reason I say can you is because there are things that happens in relationships that can be a what's the word I'm looking for? A breaking point. Or where you draw the line at different things that happen. Okay, for a good example, like infidelity. Okay, so now if infidelity comes to the point in the relationship, do you still love them as much as they did before they cheated on you?
You know, that's a good question. If it does come before in the relationship, all right. I think one in the media posts announcing and previewing the night's topic on the show was there was a question that was raised. Have you ever been in a relationship, or whether it's a friend, whether it's any type of loved one, could be a committed relationship, a romantic relationship, could be family. There are several different types of relationship. It could be even, on the job. You have people tell you sometimes, hey, I love you because I love you. That's why I do this thing. I've grown close to you as my companion and on the business, and I'm looking out for you, so I love you and all that stuff. So people, throw the word love out there so
easily,
fluently, and then in the preview in the media, it was also asked that all of a sudden it seemed like there were some conditions that came up out of nowhere when you always heard or were told that you were being loved unconditionally. Well, as you were saying, that when the cheating comes out or something like that, or so that somebody, it seems like everything going good, and getting this quote unconditional love, and then there's a breaking point. Well, the only reason there's a breaking point is because something wasn't met. There was an expectancy. The expectancy was, you don't cheat on me.
Right.
And that was a law. That was a rule. Okay, so how can you say you have unconditions, no conditions, but then have a condition?
Jay. Okay, so now let's cut to the chase of this thing. Okay, so for those of us that understand the unit, the makeup of a relationship, such as a marriage. Okay, so yes, you don't go into the marriage saying, I hope my spouse cheat on me. You don't go into the marriage saying that. So when that happens, for the most part, it's a shock because you're not expecting. Okay, now can I say that you're not expecting that? Because you go into the marriage with an expectancy that it's going to be you and your husband, or you and your wife, and y'all are going to be together. So now when infidelity is thrown into the marriage and you wasn't expecting it, now you love them. Now even though we're talking about unconditional love, and let me just say let me just read this definition of unconditional love. It says, is caring about the happiness. Unconditional love is caring about the happiness of another person without any thought for what we might get for ourselves.
Oh, really? Wait, read that one more time. That sounds quite interesting.
Unconditional love is caring about the happiness of another person without any thought for what we might get for ourselves.
All right.
Okay.
So for what we might get for ourselves. So if for what we might get for ourselves, because that means it doesn't matter what we get, right? Or what we.
Okay, so now Jay, we don't say.
y'all know we're not scripted, y'all. We're totally raw.
Yeah. Okay, so now when you talk now you were the one that said in the beginning of the show that love and unconditional love were two different things, right? Okay, so for the most part, when a person says I love you, they don't say I love you unconditionally. They say I love you. You know, you see the point I'm making. They say I love you. Okay, so now with love can come, you know, conditions. I mean, if we just think about it, y'all, when I'm saying listeners, just think about it. You know, because if something is done, something is said that you don't deem is, you know, is right, you know, is out of context, out of character, then you still love them for the most part. Okay, you still love, but that love is not unconditional. It's not an unconditional love. Okay, but now, now here we go. So the marriage, there's been infidelity brought into the marriage. Okay. And so the two people separate or divorce. Okay, but that does not mean that you don't still love them. You just chose not to stay in an environment that is not what you expected from your partner.
Oh, well, you're giving love that's not even deserved in that
case.
That's
it.
That's what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Oh,
So, no.
Yeah,
okay.
So but it's not the same kind of love that when you two were together. But you still love them now that you're apart. But it ain't the same kind of love, or is it the same kind of love?
It's after in a situation like that, Jay. It's a different love. It's a different love.
Different love.
You don't love them intimately like that. I mean, when I say intimately, I mean physically. You know what takes place between a man and a woman, a husband and wife. You don't love them like that, but you love them as a person.
Oh, so I'll be there for you, but you can't kiss me.
Okay, Jay.
I'll be there for you, but you can't put no hickeys on my neck.
I mean,
you can't keep breathing down my shirt.
But then, you know, because sometimes that kind of thing, you know, it causes a separation or a split between the man and the woman, and they may need that time to consider, okay, now do I really want to, now we're talking about married couples, we're not talking about just dating and boyfriend and girlfriend. So now I mean, is the marriage worth saving, even though that there was an act of infidelity? So you sit and you consider that. But you still love them. You just, and a lot of times, you know, there are couples that have survived, you know, infidelity. And
yeah. And I bet you it was a lot more conditions put on the table after me than it was before infidelity.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah, because somebody got to do some work now.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah. And you know, I understand that point. So you got some more points you want to bring up?
Okay, well, one of the things that I was looking at, Jay, is that we talked about, you know, what unconditional love is. And so one of the things that I thought was very interesting was how do we love unconditionally? Okay, how do we love unconditionally?
Okay, all right. So, how do we love? Still pretty much giving love.
Okay.
Giving the love.
Yes. So it's like 7 steps to determine or on the path to loving unconditionally.
Yeah. Yeah. About seven steps to loving unconditionally.
Okay. Well, one of the first points that was brought up was that in order for us to be able to give out unconditional love, we have to first learn how to love ourselves unconditionally. And I thought that was very interesting, because how do you love yourself unconditionally? To say, in spite of whatever I look like, whatever my character flaws are, whatever my interests are, whatever my integrity is, whatever that thing is about you, you have to learn how to love that. So now, and I thought that was interesting, because for a lot of times for women, we're always trying to change our image into, looking like, a model on the cover of a magazine, want to be 105 pounds and things like that. So you don't love yourself. You don't love yourself because you're looking, or you're striving to be something, or to look like something on the cover of a magazine. But whatever you are, whether you're 120 pounds or you're 175 pounds, I mean, that love, in order to give unconditional love or love, I mean, it starts with you. It starts with you loving, who you are. So how do we love unconditionally? I mean, and the truth of the matter is that can we? I think that's the question that should be asked. Can we truly love unconditionally? So now, when you think about the unconditional love that God has for us, now think about this, Jay. The unconditional love that God has for us, that's unconditional love.
Well,
that's unconditional love in its highest form. So can we, as humans, as people, can we really love unconditionally?
well, all right. Let's get into this Jesus thing.
Come on, Jay.
I bet.
Come on,
I can
Jay.
see some of the listeners with their hand on their hip. He said Jesus
Just
thing.
yeah.
What do you mean Jesus thing? All right, folk. I am a strong believer in Christ. So okay, but the reason I said Jesus thing because well, there are some things that in regards to the unconditional love, I'd like to say in regards to Christ and God that there is a unconditional conditional love, an unconditional conditional love when it comes to Christ. Here's the thing that that about Christ. Remember I said about in the beginning of the show that you can get into a race unconditionally, but you have to conditionally run the race. All right? Don't take nothing for you to get in the race. But you have to conditionally run the race. So, and that being said, this is one of the things I want to bring up about Christ and God. And Christ, without anything on our part, hung in truth, sacrificed himself so that we can have salvation. Now, but to get salvation, there are conditions we have to do. You can't just stay a sinner, willful sinner, and receive salvation. Now, he made the pathway for salvation unconditionally. He entered us into the race, but we still have to run the race. And there are conditions for salvation, which is his love. But there was no condition for him to go and hang on the cross to provide a means to be able to get salvation. And a lot of people tend to say quite often, and this floats around in the religious realm, and I know I'm probably going to get some quarrels, but there was nothing in the Bible that says this. This was humans twisting of the word that says salvation is free. It never says that in the Bible. Never says salvation is free. It says he died so that we can receive salvation. But we still have to do something. That's a condition. We have to choose them. That's a condition. We have to choose to walk and acknowledge and believe. We have to do. Those are conditions. All right. Those are just a few conditions at the beginning of it. All right. And because unconditional means nothing, and it is that we read the definition. Nothing has to be done on anybody's part to receive it. Yes. To receive it. All right. And so if that was the case, that salvation was free, unconditional, that means you could just be a perpetual murderer. I mean, a perpetual, I'm just saying, deliberate, stubborn, non-changing, unwillful, or willfully being that sinner, all right, without no chain, without no constraint, without no conscience, and still get salvation. And that's not what the Bible teaches. And so many folk have that so crucially wrong. And when you say stuff in the wrong way, you start to believe it sometimes. And if you start believing it, then you will begin to act in a way that, hey, I ain't got nothing to really meet. So change really might not come as what it, because you keep saying unconditional, and unconditional because there's a part of your brain that actually knows what unconditional means. So it'll play on the other part of your brain that while you're saying, well, I'm striving to be, but you get at this word unconditional keep playing in my head. So I'm not really trying to change at the frequency or expediency that I may need to, because I'm keep getting this whisper that it's unconditional. It's unconditional. Yeah. And I know what unconditional means, so it's unconditional. It's unconditional. So, and you read something like back up there in one of the points you made, that a person without expectancy or without whatever they receive, and it also goes to that. So when we look at that, we should be sometimes careful. I know you said many times we just say I love you. Yeah. We don't say, but I got these rules and regulations. You got to do this. You got to do. I need to see this out of you. We don't go down the little 10 commandments. But we know within, it's like hidden conditions, and we don't express that. And we know we have a condition. We know that there are certain things that we have an expectancy. Those are conditions out of a person. We don't expect for them to lie, right? We don't look for them to lie. That's an expectancy, a condition. Because many people will say real quick. If you ask, can you put up with a lie? I can't stand a lie. Okay, that's a condition. All right. Even though you didn't say it when you said I love you, but if we were really honest, we would say I love you, but I can't stand if you lied. That might change. That love for you might change if you lied to me. All right, I love you, but that don't mean you cheat. If you cheat, that might change. All right, because there's a condition you got to be for me to keep loving you in the way that I love. I love you, but you better not beat on me. That might change. You see what I'm saying? Because we have conditions.
Okay, in those instances, Jay, really, are those really conditions, or like you said, are they expectations? This is what I expect out of my relationship.
And what is an expectation?
So
something to be met, right?
Okay, so who goes into a relationship, Jay, saying I want to be beat on, I want to be cheated on, I want to be, really, because you already, for the most part, people that have, their mindset together in some kind of way, is, saying I'm going into a relationship not for the negative side of it, but for the positive side of it. Okay, but yeah, we know that in relationships things come up, like that. But then that's where the love comes in. That if you say you love, if you say that you have the kind of love that you have for the person, when those negative, when those bad traits come out or whatever that thing is, unless it's not a deal breaker. Now, if it's that thing that then yeah, you work it out.
Okay.
You work through it.
Well, we got things that's called forgiveness and mercy and grace. We still give.
Yeah.
Just like Christ do with us, but then there's still certain conditions that we still got to meet.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
All right. Because just going to church, you still can go to hell. Because Matthew said in that book of Matthew, it said that it come judgment, it gonna be many folks says I was in church for 40 years and I was on the deacon board and I was a preacher, I was and I did this in the church and I was the greatest shouter and I did all this in the church and God gonna say He never knew you. Why? Because you didn't meet some certain expectations and requirements. Yes. You did not meet them.
Yes.
And just because you in the in crowd don't mean that you have met those things. You see, because God expects us. If we say we're going to be in Him and He is our Lord and our Savior, He expects us to meet some certain. Now, not all of them. He knows that we have, and like you were saying, there are couples who might get past infidelity. All right, and they may slip because nobody's perfect. All right, there are some things that are deliberately, even with God, there are some things that are deliberately a non-forgivable situation that you can enter into, okay? Because there is an unforgivable sin that's written in the Bible, okay? All right. So there are some things that you just don't cross. Period. All right. With relationships and couples, even though you can find a few. Infidelity is really one of those that you just you just don't cross, okay? But to each person their different makeup,
right, yeah.
But God gives us, we sin against God. He gives us grace and mercy
yes.
at His will. Some things He don't, okay? Some things He does not. That's why I said, and He turned them over, to a reprobate mind. Some things He just doesn't, and He lets us really reap what we sow. And some things He covers us, and we don't get what we deserve. And like some of these relationships that get past infidelity, that person decides to go on and stay with them.
Yes.
And even though that person didn't deserve it, they still went ahead and. So we do get past it sometimes, but I don't know. I'm kind of a little stuck on that unconditional thing.
Yeah, yeah. So the answer to the question is, do we love unconditionally? Do we love unconditionally?
Oh.
And so now, in out of the conversation today, because it's made me. Do a second thought, a check. Do I really love unconditionally? I can only speak for me, Jay. I can't speak for anybody else. And since I love you so much, listening audience, no, I don't. Pray for me, okay?
Well,
pray for me.
I'm keeping it real. I understand it.
I understand. Yes.
I understand it. Because and I find it so unique. I know this is getting touching in the religion world, in the religion entity. I'm not trying to go so deep into religion, but I do find it so interesting that humans tend to do a lot of things and call it religious or put it under the air religion and Christianity, but it's a lot of acts and things that even God don't even do. Okay, and I'm just saying that God don't even do, because we make these statements like, honey, I love you unconditionally. I mean, I've heard that being said. It had been said to me in some past relationships, but I knew better. I'm gonna tell you, I knew better.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood the definition because I'm a dictionary person. But because if you really love me unconditionally, all right. I said that, and I have to admit, there was one person I had to test on that. Because when she said that, she was like, I love you unconditionally. She was like, no matter what, I love you unconditionally. I said, really? You serious? She was like, yeah. I said, so, and I said, so, this hand I got my 5 fingers on, if I slapped you so hard that it left my which I don't hit women. I just had to, I was going to slap you so hard that it left my handprint on your face, you would still love me no matter what. No, that's another thing. I said, so you really don't love me unconditionally. Right. Because unconditionally means I can do whatever I want. I know that comes as a hard pill to swallow. I can do whatever I want. And nothing is challenged by you. You said that in your first point. Nothing is challenged by the opposite person who's claiming to love unconditionally. Nothing has changed. Nothing is affected.
Y'all, it's a change. If you do that, I mean, and Jay, it just goes, to say, I think like you made the comment a little while ago. We say things a lot of times, and not really understanding the full validity of it, not really understanding what we're saying. When we say, especially something as important as I love you unconditionally. Because then that will allude to the point that I can do anything to you I want.
You just gave me a license.
Anything to do whatever I want to you, and you still gonna love me. So now, as this a person of flesh, okay, can we really say that? I mean, honestly, how many of us can really and truly say that and mean it? Okay, you may not say it outrightly, but at some point in your time, this right here is going to rise up, your mind, your heart, your thought, and something can change that. A person, a person's actions, their deed, what they say, can change that. And we've seen it. How many times have we seen it? When somebody does something to us and you say, oh, I wouldn't have never thought they would have done that. I wouldn't have never thought she would have said that. How many times have we said that? And then because they have done that thing, or said, I don't know, I just feel differently about that.
Well, unfortunately, and it's not the first time I witnessed it, but I witnessed a breakup of a couple last night. Didn't know them. I was just standing about, on the other, basically across the street, and I was working on a car. I do mechanics too, but I was working on a car. A good friend of mine, and all of a sudden, I could hear this woman just fussing and yelling out loud. And she went to this door, so I peeked out around the hood, and the next thing I know, she was trying to tear the screen door off and yelling and screaming, get out of here, get out here, and the bottom line, what just to go ahead and get to the point, the her husband, man, whatever, boyfriend, whatever he was, well, of course, and you tell they had a committed romance relationship. Since I don't know him, I don't know if that was her husband, but I do know that they apparently lived together. Okay. And he was in the house with another woman. Okay. And she apparently, well, not apparently, she had snuck up to the window and was listening in the window and could hear them. And that's when she went to try to tear the door down. So the first thing, one of the things she was yelling that was coming out of her mouth was, I can't believe, like you said, I can't believe you did it. I've been faithful to you. I just can't believe you did this to me. And just like you were saying, Miss Debbie, and so we, I'm just gonna say this, and this is, I know it's, we say a lot of challenging things on this show, but one thing I'm gonna say that anything said on this show is factually based, okay, and truthfully and sound based. The only reason it's challenging is either because we as people have sometimes gotten into traditional understandings, which may be based upon exaggerations or false or things that are not factually supported. Okay, so and we're gonna have a show on that called the trust factor. Okay?
That's good.
All right. But
yes,
for religious folk, and we know there's a lot of religious folk out there, we tend to say this thing that you broke my trust, I can't trust you no more. I think we did have a show on that one time before. But the thing of it is, here's one thing, I remember I said a little earlier, we tend to do a lot of things that God don't even do, or God has not instructed us to do. Okay? And one of the things that the Word instructs us to do is it says, put your trust only, it says only, in God. Put your trust only. Now, what part of that do we actually get wrong? I mean, it is just as clear as day. It says only, which it didn't say only but, or only and also. It said only. And then it says in 49 times in the Bible, 49. I went through there counting them all. 49 times in different ways, some of them the exact same way. It says this: do not, that's a command really, do not put your trust in man.
Yes.
All right? It gives you reasons why it says for they are like wavering. Well, you don't know what another person's going to do.
Right.
You really don't know. You really don't know. True. Sometimes we don't even know what our own selves are going to do. I mean, we can't even trust ourselves sometimes.
That's right,
we go in the store and be like, I'm just going to look. I ain't going to buy nothing for you know you're going to spend $30. All right, I'm just saying.
Wow. That's true. That's true.
So we tend to do a lot of stuff that God does not do or has instructed us not to do. And because of that, it sets us up for failure.
Yes.
I'm not saying you walk around and just say that everybody is no good. No, you're not saying that. But to put the level of non-breakedness in a person that they are that solid. All right? Because remember, you're still wrapped in flesh. And flesh is always tempting at you at all times.
Yeah.
And there's nobody perfect. If you keep all these factors in play, it might help you. Nobody's perfect. All right? And the minute that we have put a person to the level of trust of perfection, you hear I say that, we might set ourselves up
Right. Well, now, even though that's true, Jay, I just really, for me personally, I don't like that statement. I don't make it. I don't, it's not in my, nobody's perfect. Because we know, for the most part, we know that we don't stand in perfection.
Right.
And I think what that statement does is give a person a reason to not want to be better.
I agree.
You understand what I'm saying? So now when we say that, all that's doing is giving you a way out. But as and we know, and if we go back to the unconditional love thing, or even love, it's been, I heard it so much when I was growing up as a young girl. We know it was treat people the way you want to be treated. Okay, so now in saying that, for me, I have lived long enough to understand that even though when I do that, and I do for the most part of my life, that's what I do that it's not guaranteed. And guess what? I accept that because I expect that it can happen that a person won't treat me the way I want to be treated.
Right.
So now in saying that, I understand the concept of of what love is, what unconditional love is, and I know that there is only one. There is only one entity that is capable and able to give unconditional love. And guess what, Jay? It's not me.
Right. Right.
It's not me.
Right. And I agree with you. And I guess I'll backtrack a little bit. When I say nobody's perfect, you're right. Because that can play just like you say unconditional. It could play in your mind. But it is, and I'm not saying that for people to make an excuse for people in their imperfections. But to also, but for a person that while they're moving throughout their life, that you move with a certain level of hope that person will do right, but also keep a certain amount or a certain percentage in reserve that maybe this person may not do right, okay? Because it's always possible, but you hope for that the possible never surfaces.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's the thing. You hope that it never surfaces, but it's always possible
that it can. Yes.
That it can. It's you live in a neighborhood. You know that there are shooting and killings all the time. You hope that your neighborhood is being nice and peaceful and clean. You hope that it always stay that way, but it's always possible
that it won't.
That something might happen in your neighborhood where a killing or something might happen. I mean, it's been several, throughout history, nice, peaceful. I don't care how rich the neighborhood might be. All of a sudden, some killing or something crazy happened in that neighborhood, and it threw people off.
Absolutely,
because they didn't think it would ever happen in their neighborhood.
And absolutely, Jay, and that's a good point. I was just about to say, how many times have we watched the news broadcast and a person has uttered those same words? We live, in this whatever place you live, and nothing like that has ever happened here. So so we're in a time where we have to just expect it. That it could possibly be that way. So now, does that overshadow your concept or your definition of what you feel about love? No, but don't just look at it one-sided. One way. You have to look at the whole different spectrums of that thing. And be okay with it at whatever point it is. Is what I'm saying.
Right.
Okay.
I believe that when you have that little reserve, that is possible. That if it ever happens, it's more easier for you to deal with it if it happens than to have a level that it can never happen or it won't happen. And it happens and then try to deal with it because you're not prepared or you don't have no preparation for dealing with it. and it'll throw you out.
It will,
And I just believe it'll help a person be a little bit more at peace in their if troubles or trials, devastations, or situations ever come up in their life. That could be with anything. I mean, we're not just talking about a couple or married. We're talking about even family. Something that might happen between families. There's been all kinds of jobs. I mean, anything. You've been on a job for doggone 30 years, and you're looking. I mean, this has happened. We've seen it. And people been on jobs for 30 years. And even though they were past their retirement, they wanted to go for a little longer, and they have set a date. Say they got 2 more months to go to the date that they really planning on retiring. Okay, and people have gotten laid off a month before or weeks before that date, and it just messed them up. Messed them up. Yeah. So I mean, we know this to be true. We, like you said, we see stuff in the news all the time. So, but if just that little reserve to know that anything is possible.
Anything is
possible. Not that you're wishing for it, or you're looking for it, but it's possible.
But it's possible.
It could help you. It could help you a whole lot better. So getting back to the unconditional, conditional love, can we love somebody unconditionally? In real trueness, if we would just really be honest.
If we would just really
just be honest, that would actually be no.
Right.
I can't think of a person, a human on this earth. I don't care what race. I don't care what creed. I don't care what religion. I really don't care. And I can't. If there is one, I wish they step up to the plate, because I believe there will be some easy tests to find out
if they really love it unconditionally.
Easy. I say easy tests. Very easy test to find out if you really love with zero conditions. Because all it takes is one condition to take away you saying, making the fact you love somebody unconditionally.
Yes.
It cannot be not even one. All right?
Right. Thank you.
You can't even use a but. I do, but no. There, you don't fail.
Null and void.
We put the little, how they put the stick in the hook and go pull people out the stage. We're going to pull you right out the stage. All right? However, I'm going to leave this with, this wasn't supposed to be part of the show. This is going to be part of it. So y'all going to rehear this on another topic. But I'm going to throw this in here. This is a bonus for our listeners, okay? In my book that's soon to be released, I know I got to get it out there. Folk are anxious to see my book. But which I have 2 of them. The first is in my first book. So you want to buy a house or you want to get married. There's an outline in there that will help a person focus on how to get or choose the best person, not the perfect. There's no such thing as perfect.
Right.
The best person for themselves to be in a relationship. Okay? The best person for them to be in a relationship. All right, I'm going to give you this is a highlight of my book. Okay, in this outline, what you have to do, and you have to be, and I'm going to say this. It's also said in the book. You have to be completely honest with yourself. Okay, completely, 100%, infinitely actually, honest with yourself when you do this outline. Any variances is not guaranteed to work. There have been a few people who have tried it, and all the ones that did, which was just a few, who have very great success stories. And maybe I'll pull them on the show one of these days.
Sounds
good. To testify to that. But 3-page outline. Okay, first page, you're going to title it as Everything I Want in a Person. Okay? All right. You cannot advance to the other 2 sheets until you finish the first one. You have to finish the first one. First one, you're going to write down, you can be as creative as you want to be. All right? Even though we know that not that I know of people who are colored blue, but if that's your fantasy, you want, whatever you can think of, you write down everything that you possibly want to find in this person, the character, even the surroundings, like the kind of family they have, everything that about this person.
Nothing out.
Nothing out. I'm trying to help broaden your mind here. Even jobs, car, whatever it is, kind of hair they got. I mean, everything. When I say everything, if you need to take 2 weeks, a month, whatever, you cannot advance to the second page until you have said to yourself, I have really sat down and thought of even some way far out wacky stuff, like I want them to have the skin color blue. I mean, which I know it ain't gonna be like that, but
whatever that thing is that you want,
write it.
You know what it is. Yeah.
You have to write it all on that first sheet. Okay. When you have finally come to the conclusion that you are actually honestly finished with the first page, you put that paper away and do not look at it anymore until you finish. You bring it back at the end, but you do not. I said you got to be completely honest. Ain't no peeping. You peep, you're done. You're done. You can't hold Jay responsible for this, okay? The second page is going to be opposite from the first page. You're going to write down everything that you do not want to find in this person. All right? Everything. All right? And I do me just like the first one, even if it's fantasy. Do not or don't want to find in this person. Okay? All right. Do not advance to the third page until you have, just like the first one, said, I can't think of nothing else. Honestly, can't think of nothing else. Okay? Because when you put it away, you can't be like, oh, yeah, and go back to it. When you put it away, it's like it's got to be in a lock safe, put away. Okay? Because you go back to it, that's called cheating. Okay? You cannot cheat on this outline. This is help because you have to dig within yourself. This will also help you get to know you. Right. Because some people don't really know what they really want. They go by trial and error. Yeah. And also let me also say this. It's not that you have to experience, when I talk about like especially the negative, experience a bad, something bad in a person. You can see stuff every day. You can see your friends with a bad situation and say, I wouldn't deal with that. You know what you don't want. Okay, you really do. You know what you don't want or what you can't put up with or whatever. You know. You ain't got to experience it. Okay? Yeah. All right. Now, once you put that away, now you're on your third page. The third page, all right, is the one that they call the compromise page. All right. On this page, you're going to try as best as possible, without looking at the first and second, to remember what you wrote. Okay. All right. Now see this. Like I said, it's going to help you get in touch with you, with who you are. To remember what you wrote as the things you would like to find, the things you don't like to find. Okay. Now start with the things you do want to find in the person, and write down on the third page. It's going to have 2 sections. The first section, if this person just so happened to not have these things. Okay.
Okay.
I can deal with it. Okay? You're going to write down those things as best as you can remember what you said you do want to find in that section. If they just don't happen to have that, if they just don't have, you wrote you got to have curly hair. If they just don't happen to have curly hair, can I deal with it? You can either write that down. Okay? If they just don't happen to have this, can I deal with it? I mean, what you're going to write down is like, okay, curly hair. That's what I wrote on the first one. Or a jaguar. That's what we wrote on the first one. You ain't got to write the whole sentence.
Right.
All right. So, and then your second section is the things you wrote that you don't want to find in them. This section is going to be titled, if they just so happen to have these things.
Wow.
Or these attributes to them, can I deal with them?
Wow.
Okay? Alright? That's what you're going to write in the second. So if you say, like, they suck their teeth a lot. I don't want them to be sucking their teeth. That was on your second page.
Right.
And you can remember that's what you wrote on there. And you're giving yourself a good thought. Well, if they just so happen to be sucking their teeth, can I really deal with it? If you saying to yourself, yeah, I guess I could deal with it. Okay. Now here's how you know you can deal with it. You got to be honest with yourself. If this is dealing with it, that you won't complain about it. That's what you have to say to yourself. Not just deal. Will I complain about it? If they don't, have what I wish for them to have, or if they do have what I don't want them to have.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Will I complain about it? Because once you complain about something, it means you're not able to deal with it.
Exactly.
Okay. So will I complain about it? In other words, I can be unconditional about that. Okay. All right. So, and once you have completed the third page, then take all 3 pages, look at it all, and start marking out of the second of what you have on the third page, which you see on either the first or second page. Start putting a line through those things, and then what's left on the first and second page is the kind of person you need to seek.
Oh, wow.
It's the kind of person you need to seek or accept in your life.
Okay. That's very interesting, Jack.
Because now you have defined who you are, your real true likes, your real true dislikes, and your real true compensations.
Okay. Wow. That's very interesting, Jay. I'm looking forward to that.
All right.
I'm looking forward to it.
So
now I love you.
Yeah, I got.
Is it unconditional?
Yeah, I got conditions. I know what I want in my life. All right. All right. Y'all can keep playing. Y'all can keep playing if y'all want to. All right. Till y'all recognize what conditions you want. All right. Life is short. And some folks don't know how short, but we're out of here.
Bye-bye.
I love y'all with conditions.